I think the company was made by the people at every level who give their level best and who have tremendous loyalty in giving. And I think this is the reason why Vogue is so successful. Now, this coming year, Vogue will be 62 years old. And if you started it and you think back 62 years, did you ever think you'll be in business 62 years later? Especially if you look at the fact that so many companies don't last for very long. So here we are, 62 years later, still growing, still making more offices, still going into more countries, and really, over the 60-year period, I feel you people gave of yourself and helped to grow this company. My brother is not here, and I am very appreciative of all the work that you've done. I'd like to tell you a little about how Vogue got started. Now, in previous years, I would never attempt that because I was always afraid I'd break down right in the middle of the speech. I think this year I feel a little good. So I want to tell you a little about my brother and a little about how this company got started. I also got to tell you some background facts. My brother at 4 years old had a tonsils, and the blood from the tonsils went down to his lungs. One lung was removed, the other one was infected, had a path to flow. My brother had an open back, a hole in his back for over 30 years. So even though he started at 4 years old, it went to a good part of his life. One of his lungs, I usually leave this out, so I think penicillin drugs. If you don't have lungs, you can't breathe and you can't live. And so with the drying up of that lung, they were able to close up his back, and he lived a normal life after that. But you know, business, Bill and I, when we started Vogue, he was a very, very sick guy. He had a terrific amount of drive. I always thought of my brother as not a normal guy. I thought because when we used to go to Mount Sinai Hospital, 2.5 years in Mount Sinai Hospital. And when he used to go to Mount Sinai Hospital, all the doctors would say he would never live. He was like on a poster child or something like that, because when doctors would come in from faraway lands and countries, they'd always wheel out my brother to show his case and that he's still living. He was like a miracle. But I think in his will to live, my brother passed away at 81 years old. So, but his will to live, I think, put in certain drives that are not normal people. And I think really, that's how Vogue got started. So let's go, Bill has this problem with his back. After 2.5 years, he goes out and gets a job. He works for a company called Leamington Ranch. And times were terrible. My brother got laid off. We lost the house, we couldn't pay the mortgage. It's very much like times today are. And when Bill lost his job, like any other person in New York, we get up at 6:30 in the morning, go to New York on the subway, buy the New York Times, look at the classified section, and every day he would look for a job. He did that for 40 weeks, and he never got a job. And this is the night, the end of another week. It was frustrating, it was hot, it was muggy. And things like that. And he came into the house and he was really frustrated and disgusted with himself. And he said to me, if no one will give me a job, I will give myself a job. Well, I got to tell you, that was a scary moment because I thought he was losing his marbles. Millions of people looking for jobs, he's going to give himself his own job. But actually, as I say those words now, I get a chill in my spine because those were the words, were the birth of both. When he said, if no one will give me a job, I'll give myself a job. And we sat down after dinner, and I brought it up again, and I said, Bill, it doesn't make sense. And he says, it does make sense. I said, how come? He says, I'm going to start my own company. And basically, that night, we continued on discussing how we were going to start a company. And basically, we went to our piggy banks, and I got to tell you, we were pretty poor people. Our parents were first-generation people who came to Ellis Island, one from Russia, one from Austria. It was hard for them. My dad took his job. I was the only one working in the family. And between the money, all the money we could put together from our piggy bank, there was $13 we put on the table. And with those $13, we sat there and just stared at it for a while. What sort of a business are we going to go into with $13? It isn't like we had rich parents. It isn't like the banks are going to lend us money. It was, how are we going to start the company with $13? And we decided, after a long time of just staring at $13, that we would go into the tech writing business. Both had an education, and education is so important. Today, in our generation, it's been years. So basically, we said we would be technical writers. And basically, what we did with $13, we bought pads and some pens, and somehow we can learn how to be technical writers. We shared up our duties that evening, and I was going to be the technical writer, and I had a job in the daytime. So at night I would go to the library to learn how to be a technical writer, and my brother would be a salesman. My brother was a very good salesman, and he would only sell to companies that had 10 people or less that were doing government business, because he felt that he sold a company that had only 10 people, the president is a worker like any other worker, and therefore he'd get in to meet these people and he'd get jobs. And to our amazement, this is what happened. We started to get little jobs. First of all, we got no jobs. Then we got little jobs. Then we made friends with companies we were doing business, and they wanted to give us a second job because we did good work. And we couldn't take the second job. We had no money. If we took a second job, that job would put us out of business. So it isn't like we could grow and things like that, but there were really just so many limitations. Okay, now we got this company and we started to grow, and my brother went in these barbershops. They have magazines you read, and in the barbershop there was this talk about the Atlas missile, and with Bill's unbelievable drive based on, I always felt it was from his illness, this unbelievable drive. He comes home one night and he says, I'm going to do the Atlas missile. Now we have it seemed like it's the third, starting a company, now he's going to do the biggest missile in the United States. And basically, What he did, both is starting to grow. We're reading the typers into our house, we're adding an illustrator into our house, and I gotta tell you, our house couldn't take two people. Eventually we had to move out, which was scary, because doing business in your house, you have no overhead for rent, and now we started to have to pay rent. So, anyway, Bill flew General Dynamics in San Diego and told them there was a man there, Earl Ford, that he wanted to do the Atlas missile. And Earl Ford says the Atlas missile isn't built yet, and if we gave you a contract, you want all changes, we're not going to do it. We went back second, third time. Fourth time, we gave him an indication that we were, that he was going out for bids. To make a long story short, basically, we got a chance to bid on part of the Atlas missile, and what happened is the work we submitted to General Dynamics was acceptable by the government. The other competitors who were doing some of the work on the Atlas did poorly, so eventually we ended up with the Atlas missile, all of it. The Earl Ford, who's head of purchasing, felt these other people didn't have a writing group, and that actually gave us the money in which we grew our company. So that's basically the story of how both got started. I go to present times and I look, we're in a time of a strange period, which we have really different feelings. We're at the time of Christmas, we're at the time of Hanukkah, we're at the time of the change of the year. And so we look back at things and we look back at the year, and what did we do in 2011? And I look back with the satisfaction of what the company did in 2011, and we as a country, what we did. We have so many of our veterans coming home. We have so many of our veterans that are unemployed. I know it's not an easy thing, a problem to solve, but it certainly should be wearing on each one of us if the people spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tours of duty over there, put their lives at stake, and we can't give them a job. So that's one of the things about 2011 that really I find very disturbing. I also find very disturbing the educational system. We have so many white kids who are so smart, and yet they can't get into universities because there's no money to pay for them. And I actually think that if we could get all these bright ones into schools and into innovative, when they graduated, into innovative ideas, that they more work. And I think what's so important, because I meet some of these kids, and they are unbelievable. And when they get them into school, they're heads of the class, because there's certain weakness in this country that has to do with employing the bright ones, getting them into schools, getting into education, and things like that. Also, we're at a time here where in a Congress of the United States, what I find very disturbing is the Tea Party, the Republicans, the Democrats, and I'm not taking any sides, but I see what goes on and I listen to the news, and why we can't, as a country, sit down and put things together what's the good of this country. All they do is they think of the next election, they make the other one look bad, and I think that's a very, very disturbing feature with our country, and that should be corrected. As I look forward to 2012, I have such strong feelings, personal intuition, not from basic numbers, not from studying, but I really feel 2012 is going to be a very good year for both. And with that feeling, I want to wish you, your families, and everyone that you know a warm, healthy, joyous Christmas season. Thank you very much.